Bro, you guys know you gotta pay to run marathons? Like, imagine paying to go out of breath. Couldn't be me, bro. So in the past couple of years, I got into running half marathons and have the aspiration that, joints permitting, to run a full one. I'm gonna do a quick stream of consciousness on my experience with a couple of them, and I don't know, maybe I can hallucinate you into doing one as well. So what got me into this? There's two reasons, and they're equally goofy. So reason one, you guys remember Avengers Infinity War? You guys remember the part where they were in Wakanda and were about to fight the Thanos dogs? And remember how Captain America and Black Panther were sprinting in the front, like way ahead of everyone else? Dude, I thought that was actually so hype. I was thinking like, yeah, wait, a real person with legs can do that. And it just so happens I'm a real person with legs. Okay, so reason two. In like 2019, I went to eat hot pot with a group of people. I was weightlifting as a form of athleticism back then, so ordered all meats. And there was this other dude who ate like all carbs. Like, man got the noodles and the rice and tofu during the hot pot. So someone explained that as a running man, you just slam carbs to refuel your energy levels, and you shouldn't turn into a circle because you expend so much energy doing cardio. I'll be real with you, I don't know if any of that is real, but the thought of getting to eat like 5 bowls of rice and getting called an athlete sounded absolutely insane. So yeah, I started running because of one scene in a movie and gluttony. Anyway, running long distance back then was kind of whacked because I haven't ran in maybe like half a decade, so I started off with HIIT. So the simple explanation for HIIT, or high intensity interval training, is you basically run really really fast for a bit and then walk slowly and then cycle that over and over again. So once I started training, I did the most reasonable thing a person with a sports goal could do. That's right, I procrastinated on that until 2023. So in 2023, I lived in San Francisco. Around July or so, I tried running from Mission Bay to like here and then back. For those unfamiliar with the Bay Area, this probably means absolutely nothing. But it turns out that was around 12 miles. And a half marathon is 13.1 miles. So I thought to myself, well, I didn't die on a run, so surely I can just do another mile point one. So I gave the SF Marathon Company $200 to register to run in their half marathon. The day came and I went to the run. It started at like 6 a.m. and it was freezing. Luckily, I didn't contract anything and made it onto the staging area next to the Golden Gate Bridge. Bro, everyone was dressed to the gills in running equipment. I think I had mismatching shoelaces, and it was actually a miracle I didn't trip and bust an ankle or something. Once the run started, it was actually kind of fun. The air was the most pollution-free air I've had in my 2 years in SF. And the views were actually really nice. 70% of it was near the bridge with an oceanside view. As far as I remember, there was no poop on the running track. The trail looked something like this, so the runners got to run across the Golden Gate Bridge twice. As far as I know, no one collided with a moving vehicle, so big W's for the organizers. It was very neat seeing people cheering for the runners. Cars on the road were honk as we passed by, and there's people positioned around the trail to cheer for their spouse, children, or I think literally just random people. The run felt well organized since every few miles there'd be water stations. Dude, these things are so funny. For runners to save time, we were encouraged to just drink from disposable cups and just toss it on the ground. Like there was someone sweeping them up, but it was very funny to think you were encouraged to litter. So with how hard the run was, holy bro, SF had so many hills. Like there's a couple where I swear we were going on a 72-degree incline, setting my legs ablaze, man. I thought ahead of time, running with no sound except for other people's grunting is going to be forsaken if done for multiple hours. So I downloaded a podcast on my phone so the time actually passed by kind of quick. Most of the run was surprisingly okay. The last 2 miles or so, I think I was about to fall asleep, but your guy somehow stumbled across the finish line. My time ended up being around 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is sorta kinda okay. The finishing line had some free food for the runners. Once you picked up your medal, you'd get your pick of Pocky sticks, like 14 different types of granola bars, and I think bananas. I crammed all the stuff into my sling and just waddled my way to the bus station. Bruh, my legs were completely cooked. Bending them felt like they were going to melt off, and taking the stairs felt like my bones were going to turn into powder. Somehow, I made it to the Safeway near my house to buy some Gatorade and a cake. The cake doesn't have anything to do with recovery or anything, I just wanted to eat the cake. After that, I went home, just sat down, and watched anime. Okay, so that was the SF one. Now I'll talk about the Brooklyn one. So this one, I actually have some footage of. Similar story, gave someone money so I could run in an enclosed outdoor space. It was kind of fun getting to the track since the train stations were filled with other runners at 6 a.m. It was kind of like a school field trip, except you probably don't know 95% of the other attendees. Once I got to the starting park in Brooklyn, I lined up at the start and waited to begin. This time, I downloaded an audiobook to pass the time, the Elon Musk book, which in retrospect was kinda good and kinda bad. Good because the dude was on the Sigma grind set for the part of the book I listened to. Bad because honestly he was kinda unhinged. For the run itself, Brooklyn is a lot less hilly than SF, which is very nice. It was a similar setup with occasional water stations and people around the tracks cheering. Dude, this sport is so sick if you like hearing random people cheering for you. The trade-off is you actually have to run really, really far, but it's a pretty neat part of the sport. People would hold up motivational signs as they cheered, and I don't know if this was coordinated, but I saw this sign at least 10 times. The rats don't run this city. You do. Bro, I've seen the creatures in the MTA tracks. The rats have a death grip on these lands, man. There was this one stretch of land that had a 5-mile long loop. I got the feeling it was some sort of mental challenge, because the more you ran down the loop, the more you think, damn bro, I gotta do that again. Thankfully, at the time, I had goldfish memory and forgot about the distance. A few days before the run, I googled what the average time for a half marathon is. I got 2:10 as a number, so I was like, okay, yeah, bet. When you run these things, there'd be pacers to guide you at a certain speed. So if you finish around the same time as the pacers, you'd probably get the same time. For a good chunk of the run, I was next to the 2:10 pacers, so each time they got past me, I ran for dear life so as to not fall behind. I think I played too much Genshin Impact the night before the run, because for the last 5 miles or so, I was legit close to closing my eyes. But thankfully, I pulled from memory every recent shonen anime I watched and gaslit myself across the finish line. Once again, I got to keep both my legs, and I was lucky enough to finish with a time of 2 hours 2. Or was it 2 hours 5? I don't know, man. The Apple Watch and the event site gave me two different numbers, but both were within goal, so looks good to me, man. Again, the post-run leg was completely fried. My legs just barely worked. When I waddled across where the finish line was, I ended up with a cramp and just sat on the grass for a little bit. This elderly couple kind of stared at me in fear, but it was probably okay because I was still able to limp back home. You know what's actually kind of insane? The train ride back to Manhattan from Brooklyn. Dude, it actually had to have been an ego contest because nobody took a seat on the train. And you bet your guy had the cinderblock brain and didn't take one either. Once I got home, I did the same thing, watched some anime, then went to eat all-you-can-eat sushi. So overall, half marathons, super fun. You get to go across really interesting neighborhoods with like 10 to 30,000 other people you don't know, and you get to feel very cinematic crossing the finish line. And now, eating carbs is a personality trait. So yeah, dude, if any of this sounds appealing, you should go sign up. Well, you could technically run for free just by going outside your house, but this way you make it official and there's a financial penalty, so you actually have to do it. Anyway, that's all I got. See ya, bro.